Hey guys, I'm Sam Crack and I love a good enthusiast car bargain, kind of like my 996 911. This is a car that would retail for about $17,000 or $18,000 on a dealership lot today, but I paid way less than that because I bought it from Copart. Now the car originally looked like this, and now it looks like this. We restored this 911 like new and repaired a lot of the common maintenance items while we were at it, and it drives phenomenal, but sometimes I wish it had a little bit more power. So I hopped back on Copart, I bid, and I won this, an E55 AMG. For a winning bid of under $5,000, our AMG has less than 100,000 miles. It has a hand-built, supercharged 500 horsepower V8 engine, huge Brembo brakes, and a ton of luxury features that are pretty modern by today's standards. Some fresh parts, a few mods, and a little bit of work. We're gonna have one incredible machine on our hands for way under retail, and I have to give a huge thanks to Copart for that. Now, I buy all my project cars from Copart, and I highly recommend you check them out. If you're looking for a budget enthusiast car, maybe you're looking for a cheap daily driver, Copart has a little bit of everything for everyone. And one of the big misconceptions about Copart is that you have to have some sort of special license or credentials to bid on cars there. A lot of their inventory is available to the general public, and registration on Copart is totally free. You can do so by clicking my link in the description box below. While you're there, be sure to check out my list of my favorite cars that are available right now for you to bid on at Copart. There's some incredible deals like this Corvette ZR1 or like this V12 Mercedes-Benz with a twin turbo on it. I think will sell really cheap. Now I want to give a huge thanks to Copart for sponsoring this video, being a continued sponsor of the program, and making my cheap enthusiast car dreams a reality. Now let me take you back to Copart when we picked up our E55 AMG and show you some of the other incredible cars that they had at this lot. Man, it looks really good, just like it was in the photos. Looks really clean. We are all loaded up, ready to go. At first glance, this looks like a real winner, although I haven't been able to start it up yet because the battery is dead. Now, I'm really running late. I was planning on going home earlier, and I thought about just skipping this. But in the distance, while I was loading, you see what that is? That's a Porsche with a big wing on it. So let's try and buzz through this lot as quick as we can, starting with this Porsche. And we are definitely looking at a GT3 with these center lock wheels here, those huge brakes, and the front frame on it looks pretty darn good from this angle. We got definitely some suspension issues. See how this wheel is sent outward. This one is sitting straight. And if we go around the back, ooh, here's our damage, that quarter panel. I am not a big fan of quarter panels, but my God, another beautiful car. This is amazing. This is the overflow lot, and this is the sort of stuff we see. Porsche GT3, beautiful rear wing. I'm pretty sure that's the bumper foam, probably out of the front of the rear bumper. Even it's really cool on this car. It's black and white multicolored. We got a ton of awesome stuff just in the vicinity. Jaguar, Mercedes, another Mercedes, Porsche, whatever you want to call it. But the coming attraction section is up there. That's where the good stuff is, and that's where I'm headed. This is like the Concourse de Copart. If you've ever been to a Concourse event, you'll see a ton of 911s. 1, 2, 3 right here. This one looks like a turbo model right here. That's a brand new one. We're gonna go check those out in just a second. But behind this, brand new BMW M5, which I'm pretty sure is wrapped. I don't think that you could get the car in this matte color. I don't know, maybe it's not wrapped. It feels really, really high quality, whatever it is. There is another car, looks like a McLaren, and it is a McLaren. Wow, how incredible is this? Now, our main issue with this McLaren is that something hit it probably this way in the front passenger side, bending the frame all the way over. I mean, you can see how angled it is over to the driver's side, warranting an entire front end frame replacement. There's probably a lot of broken pieces of plastic and other parts underneath there too. And check this one out. This is really weird. This rim looks almost brand new, a little bit of curbing, stuff like that, but look, the tire completely popped off the rim. Something crazier than this rim? Check out the rear end on the M5. Could you imagine that M5 was sitting right in front of us and this totally caught my eye. Look at the quarter panel. It basically crunched it all the way in. I mean, the quarter panel is pushed so far into the door. This is a super hard rear end collision. I really wonder how fast the person that smashed into him was traveling. You don't see something this severe all the time. Next to our M5 is the Concourse D Copart, starting off with the navy blue top cab. This is a really sharp convertible top color, and the only damage on this car, really strange, at least the damage I could see, right here. Sizable dent in the quarter, then a medium-sized dent and a tiny dent you can hardly even see. Those don't have any paint damage. I'd imagine you could get them PDR'd out, but I'm gonna pop up on the screen right now and see if that's really the only reason why that car is here, because if it is, this would make for a great budget 911. Behind it is our 997 cab turbo. Now it's really important. Does this have the manual or the automatic? It's got the automatic. So this is one that will sell for quite a bit less than a manual model. Also, the fact that it's a convertible, it's got a blown airbag in the interior. But as far as this front tub goes, it's pretty darn straight. I don't see any major issues with that. And that's the majority of our damage right there. So not a bad rebuildable car at all. I like this one. Well guys, there's a ton more to see here, but it's almost closing time. Gotta get out of here, gotta get the new rebuild project home. This has been by far the best Copart inventory I've ever seen. Big thanks to Copart West Palm Beach for having me. Now, let's get to working on this car. Our E55 made it home just fine, and check out the air suspension. There's likely no air left in there whatsoever. What usually happens with these cars is that they start with a slow leak somewhere up front, maybe in the air springs in the back, and it will just take down the entire system like you see it sitting right now after several days. Sometimes there's a leak in the system and the owners don't even know if they're daily driving these cars. My goal is to probably replace our air suspension with a coilover setup, but it's definitely going to be converted away from air suspension because it's very costly, and this older system isn't super beneficial over a modern coil spring setup. So the one thing we want to do first before we fire this car up is down here you can see the damage to our oil cooler. There was a pool of oil right down here in the lower engine cover, which means this thing is leaking. When you turn it on and the pump flows, it's going to just start shooting oil everywhere. I've got a replacement oil cooler right here. There's only two connectors, one there, one there. We're going to rip this thing out, put our replacement one in, and then this car should fire right up and hopefully we can just drive it right off the trailer. Just two wrenches for this, and we're gonna see how we can get in here. It's completely off the mount here, so it should just come right loose. Just a little bit. Let's see here. Now our replacement cooler is a used OEM one. It was actually a couple $100, and I opted to just get the used one because the new one is about $800 or $900 at the dealer. And I did look into some third-party options. They're just kind of weird sized for this compartment right here. This will be our easiest solution. You'll see it'll probably go back in about as quick as it came out, which was a couple minutes. Okay. Bottom one is snug, top one is snug. Now this goes into a bracket here that looks semi-damaged. I don't know if we'll be able to save it or not, but for right now, this will be good enough just so the car doesn't leak when we go to start it up. Now that our oil cooler is hooked up, we just got to do one other quick thing before we can turn this car on. We've got to hook up our battery. Now, usually these cars come with dead batteries from the salvage auctions, but it appeared that this is one of those quick turnaround cars. One that showed up at the auction was sold pretty quickly. The battery itself would turn on the accessories, but it was weak. So I pulled it out, I sat on a charger overnight, and check this out. This is a Mercedes branded battery. When you see stuff like this, something as simple as a battery with the Mercedes branding on it, it tells me that this car was serviced at the dealership the majority of its life. All right, battery's all snugged up. Now there's no room really to get in on the driver's side here with the trailer. The fender's in the way there. So we're gonna go around to the passenger side. And this car's got a really cool push button start, but I think that we're gonna have to use the ignition, because to use the push button start, you have to have your foot on the brake, and that's gonna be tough. So let's see what we can do here. All right, we're gonna do this and then check our oil lines to make sure we're not leaking. But 1, 2, 3. Ooh, that battery might be no good. We're gonna have to test that later. But let's hear start didn't sound the smoothest, but it didn't sound like there was anything catastrophically wrong. We also didn't leak any oil out of our new oil cooler, which is good, but we did get a red light on the dashboard that says we need to check our oil level. And I know everybody's going crazy. Why didn't you just pull the dipstick? That's because Mercedes of these eras didn't actually come with dipsticks. And as a matter of fact, this area right here, I mean, you can see you can't even check anything on this, might even be for transmission fluid. I'm not positive. Sometimes they're buried back here. I don't see anything else. So the way you usually check the engine oil on these cars is through a system on the dashboard. I know, how are you supposed to check it if it's got low oil and all that? So I'm just gonna add a little bit of it at a time here. We're gonna start with a quart because who knows how much was lost while it was sitting at salvage auction. We'll turn it on, we'll check it, and we'll keep adding until we need to. If you guys followed my Ferrari rebuild, you know that overfilling an engine is a really, really messy ordeal. So we definitely are not going to want to have to deal with that. All right, let's add some more. The car is now happy. No more warning light on the dashboard there. It took a good amount of oil. We've got 3 individual quarts right there, and then I poured about 1 quart out of that large jug, so it was down 4 quarts. The other thing I'm noticing is that this corner suspension is not cooperating, which means it might have been damaged in the accident. But if we go around and we look at all the other corners, well, yeah, we've got an issue here. It's still sitting pretty low, but our driver's side here, much higher than it was. Either way, this car, especially without the front bumper on it, should have no issues getting off this trailer. Now that we've got oil in it, we're on flat ground, we can jump right into our rebuild process. But quickly, a little bit about this car. 96,000 miles for an 03 model. That is fairly low miles. And the interior condition is absolutely outstanding. First off, we have an upgraded head unit, which I personally believe is necessary on older cars. The seats, I mean, look at this passenger seat. It looks near new, like nobody ever sat in it. The story is the same in the back seat. And then we have the beautiful Mercedes-Benz Alcantara headliner, single sunroof. The car overall is in excellent condition. No airbags in the inside, but this driver's side does have a little bit of wear here on the door card. This, I would just buy a new used door card for it. But for right now, our main focus is going to be on getting this car driving properly first. Obviously, you saw out in the field, our air suspension is sitting really low on this side. Now, I do have it jacked up a little bit in the back there. That's why it looks like it's at normal ride height, but it is shot. You can feel it while you're driving. So first off, we're going to convert the suspension in this car from an air suspension to a coilover suspension. And while we're on the outside, let's take a quick look of the overall condition of our damage. We're going to need a new fender. We're definitely going to need a replacement hood. But the front bumper, surprisingly, was in pretty darn decent condition. We're going to do a little bit of work in this area here, a brand new bracket right there, a new condenser, and we're going to go ahead and replace the radiator. Big thanks to my friend Alex Palmieri, who's an expert in these cars. See right there, it says Vallejo. It has a Mercedes-Benz star emblem. I confirmed with him that this radiator was part of a recall from Mercedes. Basically, what will happen on these original radiators is that there's a transmission cooler section that will break, and then it will mix the regular coolant with the transmission fluid, and you have a risk of burning out your transmission. Anytime I rebuild a German car, and it's just like this Mercedes, more of a simple rebuild where we're refreshing a lot of the parts, like the cooling system, like the suspension, I order my parts from FCP Euro because they're all covered under a lifetime replacement guarantee. Every single part that FCP Euro sells is covered under this lifetime replacement guarantee. You have a problem or failure of a part or component, they go and they replace it for you, no questions asked, which is insane because FCP Euro is providing the same quality parts as you'd buy like at your Mercedes dealerships. You see that radiator was a Vallejo branded radiator. They carry a ton of Vallejo branded products. They're just selling it to you without that Mercedes stamp on it. It's the same exact part Mercedes uses. It's a lot of times half the cost, and you get a lifetime warranty on it. So I want to give a huge thanks to FCP Europe because they've been very supportive of these German car builds, and I highly recommend them when it comes to sourcing parts for your very own German car. While FCP does offer the OE air suspension components for this car, when I asked them, I want to do things more on a budget basis, but I still wanted to drive probably a little bit sportier. You know, these air suspensions are fairly floaty. They pointed me in the direction of these coilovers, so that's what we're going to install right now. But another huge thing about them is that they have experts that know these cars inside and out. So in the box next to it, we actually have replacement, I want to call them control arms, basically the perch that the spring sits in. It's a little bit different for the air suspension. So they sell this as an entire kit right here. You get the 2 arms for the rear suspension. So we've got everything we need in these 2 boxes to knock out our rear suspension install, and then the rest is all straightforward in the front. So let's go ahead, get this car off the ground, and throw on our new sport coilover suspension. So weather cleared up, then it got bad again, then it cleared up again. So I worked in between all that. I removed all the stuff that we need to take out of here, our bellow, our shock, and our underarm there. And I was able to jump over to the other side and get all of that stuff removed as well. Now, honestly, everybody says that the rear is a pain in the neck, and it's true. It was very difficult here on the passenger side because it's, well, your first time doing it. But while this side took me about 5 or 6 hours to remove everything, on the driver's side it only took about an hour. So once you kind of get the idea of what's going on and how to get screws out, it's very easy. The only tip I need to give you, other than what's being shown on the internet, is remove this one right here. Can you see it? There's a subframe bolt right there. Remove that. That'll wiggle the subframe loose. You'll be able to get that screw out, and then you're good to go. At this point, we're coming over here. Here are all our fresh components. Our new arms for the rear, and then our new shocks and our new adjustable springs. So these are 30-way adjustable shocks as far as compression goes, and then height adjustable springs. I'm going to leave them all at the factory setting right now. When we throw everything back in the car, we'll see how it looks and then adjust it from there. All right, let's see how low it goes. Not bad, not bad. I actually really like that. All right, let's do this slow here. Going in nice and smooth. And then I will finish torquing those down, but the front end suspension install compared to the rear was like child's play. Very simple. Collectively, both front ends went in about 45 minutes. And now we don't have any more air suspension in this car. We can actually eliminate the compressor if we wanted to, which will reduce weight already. These shocks that came out of the front are massive. Of course, we had the 2 huge components in the rear. So not only are we saving weight, we've upgraded our E55 to a sport coilover setup with a lifetime replacement guarantee. Should be much more reliable, and it's got this really cool knob here. All you do is turn to the left if you want it soft, turn to the right if you want it hard. I like to set these right in between to start off with, see how it feels, and go from there. But I'm really excited about this because not only did it save us a lot of money in comparison to replacing the air suspension, we're also getting a really worthwhile upgrade. All right, now let's see. This corner still looks kind of low for some. No, it's much higher. Do the quick finger test. 2, So 3 tight fingers in there. Let's see, right here, 2, 3. We are finally off the ground. We can move this car much easier than we could before. With our suspension replaced, the majority of the mechanical work is knocked out on our E55. Next up, we'll focus on the front end, where we'll take off all of our damaged components, specifically that radiator and condenser, also the hood and the fender, and any little brackets in the engine bay there. Get those replaced to get our new body panels ready for paint. And while we've got this front end off, it'll be super simple to mod this car near 600 horsepower. It'll be absolutely incredible. And this will be a bargain 600 horsepower cruiser. Think about what it costs to go to a Mercedes-Benz lot and get an AMG car near 600 horsepower today. It's just incredible what you can do with the power of buying from the salvage auctions. And with that being said, I want to give a huge thanks to Copart for sponsoring today's video. If you're not already following me on Instagram, be sure you go right here. Just click the link in the description box below, where I'll be providing updates on the E55 AMG project and also other projects like my Ferrari 360 Spider before anything goes live here on YouTube. Now, I want to give a huge thanks to each and every one of you for watching today, and I'll catch you very soon.